Hey everybody, welcome. I know it's been a while since I've done a video, but it's been an extremely busy year. And since I'm writing a blog and doing my podcast still, there's a lot going on. As you guys know, it was a building year for me, especially with that new website, but I'm really happy about it. So how are you guys? And happy Christmas season. As you guys can see, I'm a really big Christmas person, and I wanted to set my camera up a little further away so you can see my special ornaments. Most of these ornaments were my mom's, and she passed away, as you guys know, from the flu shot in 2006. And she left me all her ornaments, so I hang them from my beams, and I'm usually putting them up really early. I would say middle of November, usually before Thanksgiving, because to me it's not just Christmas, it's like really the season of fall and the Christmas spirit of my mom. It lives in my house. Whenever I put these up, I really feel my mom's energy in here. And my friend Ellen, my best friend, my soul sister, is coming out to visit me in February. I think it's February 15th, and I'm leaving them up because she's never been here. So I know, call me crazy, but I love my ornaments and my energy of my mom's spirit in my house. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope you're having fun and having a great season and not overdoing it, because Christmas really is about being nice to each other and just like really enjoying the time together and getting together with friends and sharing some nice meals and conversation. Sadly, though, Christmas is very commercialized, and it can become so much of a burden in so many ways for people, right? It can be like so expensive because people start buying gifts, and I don't know, like there's just something about gifts. It's just all this giving and spending, and in the end, half the time I wonder if what you gave the person is something they could use or need. So I always try to find things that I make, or food, or an experience, or something that isn't more stuff in the house, because we have enough stuff, right? I just cleaned out my bookshelf. This is the time of the year that I really feel like it's a good time to prepare to get ready for the new year. And to me, the new year is like new goals and new energy and hopefully a new start. Kind of like when I played golf, we have 18 holes, and after 9, they have a little house that's called, we say you're making the turn after 9 holes. And so they have a little house like a snack shop. And I always used to say, when I would have a bad front 9 of score, I always would say to my caddy, it feels so good, like I'm starting over when you get to hole number 10. And then I would say to my caddy, but that's so stupid. Why not play better and start over on the 6th hole if you've been playing bad? But that's what the new year feels like to me. It's kind of like no matter what, once the energy's going this way into the whole year, finally December 31st comes, and it's like it's a new year and a new me and a new everything else, right? It's been a strange year in a lot of ways, and I wonder how it's been for you guys. I'd like to hear. So I love those of you that make comments on my videos, or if you send me an email. I love to connect with you and all kinds of things. So I wonder how it's been for you, but I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my year. And it's been a lot of people around me in a crisis. Thankfully, what I say, knock on wood, I don't have any wood. Oh, knock on wood. Not superstitious, am I? But a lot of people around me either really sick, getting bad diagnosis, dying. Gosh, it's really sad. I belong to a homeopathic study group, and we're original people started as maybe 14, and I think 8 now are dead. And I found out at the Christmas party last week that 2 other people, one had a stroke and the other one has a serious heart problem, was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and they were trying to prevent her having from a stroke. So my gosh, that really leaves like 4 of us that haven't had a catastrophe. I'm almost afraid to go there anymore because it's kind of against the odds. So I always think just stay home. But I am the only vegan in the group, and I think that's a big part of it. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, like, why don't they eat better? Why don't they know better? But you guys know this. Some people think they're eating really well and they're eating animals, and it's not my job to like push people into a different diet, because I always want to say, like, I believe I'm right, and I sometimes can say I've been at this long enough and seen people heal enough times and see people get sick enough times with the other diet that I'd like to say that I know, because I know, but I'm still not a person to push people, because if somebody else believes what they're doing is right, that is their choice. And as I always tell you, every action has a reaction. But it was really sad for me. I see these people, and a lot of people think because you're a homeopath you should be healthy. And yes, they could take remedies, but this happened in my practice a lot too. Did I ever tell you the story about a patient that I had that would have horrible skin, like psoriasis all over, really, really bad? And I told her, I can give you a remedy and I'll work with you, but honestly, I'm pretty sure you could get rid of all of this if you just get the dairy out of your diet. And she said, well, I'm not willing to give up dairy. And I said, how about if you just give it a try? So could you do 30 days? And then she did 30 days and it all cleared up. I didn't even give her a remedy because I was trying to prove to her how much dairy had an influence on her. Dairy's not good for anybody. Dairy's actually, I think, the worst food on the planet. But what I do want to tell you is that Asians, Jewish people, Black people, Japanese people, and I think even Mexican people, but anyway, other cultures do extremely bad with dairy. Not that Caucasians do good with dairy either, they don't, but for some reason it really affects people of other races. And I think this person, my patient, she was Jewish, but anyway, I could just tell from all her symptoms that she had a dairy problem. But she says, well, it doesn't give me any symptoms when I eat it. And I'm like, but look at your body. Is that not enough? People are crazy. People are crazy. It drives me crazy when I hear comments like that. But anyway, she did the 30 days and everything cleared up. And she said, but I'm not willing to go the rest of my life like that. And then did I tell you the story about Lloyd's longtime good friend? Gosh, poor Lloyd, he's lost four of his friends this year. It's horrible. So one of his longtime good friends, he got diagnosed this year. Actually, he just came to visit us, and he was telling us while he was here that he had some strange feeling in his arm, like kind of tingling. So I was like, well, Lloyd can tell you about that, because that's how his symptoms started before he had to have his neck surgery, which then caused his pain in his feet. But anyway, let me back up a little. Lloyd's friend, I don't want to even say his name, but anyway, we'll just call him Jay. He came all the times he would come to visit over the years. Lloyd, he's a type 2 diabetic, and Lloyd would tell him, but Jay, you can heal your diabetes. It's only a lifestyle disease. It's easy. You just have to take the fat out of your diet and just cut the meat and the dairy out and just eat plants and carbs, and your diabetes will go away. And then he's like, I'm not willing to do that. My medications got me in a perfect place, and it's handling all my symptoms. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, don't you understand the ramifications of diabetes? It affects your eyes and your arteries, and you'll end up with heart disease and neuropathies and blindness. And he's like, but my medications are working fantastic, and my doctor says my eyes are good. But you're just walking on a, dead-end path, because they're good today, but when do they go bad? So that was probably about 10 years ago when we had that conversation with him. And now fast forward to this year, and he came and he started telling us, oh, I'm having lots of problems with my eyes. I have all these retinal hemorrhages, and now I've had like detachments and hemorrhages, and now I've needed surgeries, and I'm 4 medications. And Lloyd's like, gosh, Jay, you could have handled this, and you still can. And then he's like, no, then we find out he's on 3 blood pressure medications, and of course the anti-cholesterol medications, but people just are not willing to change, and I don't understand it, because they maybe think they feel good like that, but I can't imagine, the saying, like, you have no idea how good your body can really feel. That's how I feel like telling them, because they don't have any idea. So anyway, we are not pushy people. We offer help. That's really the way I say it. We offer help, or we ask them, would you like our advice? Would you like help? And Lloyd's maybe a little bit more, harsh sometimes, because it's his friend, and he gets upset at him that he doesn't want to change, because he's lost so many of his friends already, that it's like a passion in him to try to help save this guy. It's really like a Robin Hood thing. Lloyd really has this desire to like save people, and he sees the medical world taking almost advantage of people like this. So, but anyways, he wasn't interested. So we just enjoyed our visit and ate our plant-based meal and had a nice visit with him. But honestly, when he leaves, Lloyd's like, he's going to be next. And then he went to the doctor because he was feeling that numbness in his arm. And they wanted to do a scan of I think they did a scan of his shoulder area. First they did a scan of his neck and his shoulder area, and they found that he had a lymph node swollen in his, where was it? It was somewhere in his neck down here. And then that led to them finding his saliva gland was enlarged. And then they had to biopsy, and then they found out it was cancerous, and it had metastasized already to the lymph nodes. And I guess that's why it was putting pressure on a nerve. So it's always good to get something like that checked out, because I have no problem with testing, except for don't do unnecessary x-rays or CAT scans. Those are a lot of radiation. But MRIs, if you need to, or an ultrasound is if you need to, that's the safest. But a test is always good to have. But anyway, so then he gives Lloyd the bad news. And Lloyd said, well, what are you going to do? And he says, well, what do you mean, what am I going to do? I'm scheduled to do surgery and chemotherapy and radiation. And oh my God, you guys, I don't know. I think I was born, I'm too sensitive to be in this world, because it's just so frustrating for me that people don't get it, and they think that their doctor has the answers for them. So first of all, I just want to tell you, if you know anything about saliva gland cancer, this gland over here, you know that when you're a kid, did any of you get the mumps and you swell up like this? That's called your parotid gland. Your parotid gland is a big gland. It goes here. And then your saliva glands are in the front of that. So when you have a swollen saliva gland, you're never sure if it's the front end of the parotid gland or if it's a saliva gland. But either way, the parotid gland is a gland where the trigeminal nerve runs right through it. So when you have to take that out, including the saliva gland, you have to cut all around the nerve, and more often than not, I'd say 85% of the time, they have to either cut that nerve or they damage the nerve trying to get the tumor out or the gland out. And so I had a patient like this. Oh, saddest story. I think it's one of 2 patients I cried while I was actually taking the patient's case. She was a young girl, 27, had parotid gland cancer, just diagnosed, had a swollen gland. Doctor told her you need immediate surgery. That's the most ridiculous thing. Cancer takes years to grow. Tell me somebody doesn't have 30 days to think about it, to get less stressed about the shocking diagnosis that they've just been told, to build their immune system, to try do something for 1 or 2 months, but they scare you to death and they make you go do the surgery within 48 hours or a week. And then she called me and asked if there was anything she could do to prepare for the surgery. And I said, are you sure you wouldn't be willing to wait a month and then you really work? Because she was crying on the phone telling me about the diagnosis. And I said, you haven't even processed the bad news. I would love to see you get in a better place, get rid of your grief and your shock. Then we can work on your immune system. And would you be willing to try some, drastic dietary changes to see if that could help? And anyway, she was not willing, so I just basically gave her a remedy that was made of the thymus gland to kind of help boost her immune system for the surgery. But then she came to me. She said she'd come after the surgery, but they tell you when you have parotid gland or saliva gland cancer that you have 85% chance to have paralysis on this side because of the damage to the nerve. So what happens when you damage this nerve, then your face starts like this because it doesn't hold you up anymore. So this mouth turns down and this face is paralyzed like this. And this poor girl that came after, I felt so sad because she had to hold a cup like this because now saliva was just coming out of her mouth. It was so sad. And she was telling me the story about her daughter, was saying, Mommy, what happened to your pretty face? And she was crying, and then I was crying, and I was like, oh my God. I swear to God, in 100 years, I wish it would be sooner, but in 100 years, we're going to look back and we're going to say what we did as cancer treatments was absolutely barbaric. So now our friend Jay gets this, I call him Jay, that's just his initial, but he gets this cancer. And now I have this vision. I know now several people who've had this surgery and had a couple patients, but anyway, I knew several people and all of them had this face. And so then I said to Lloyd, oh my God. And then, he told Lloyd that the doctor said he has 80 or 85% chance where he's going to be paralyzed there. And then Lloyd got really upset with him, and he said, don't you want to give something else a try before you do something that's going to damage your face? And then he's like, and what do and what might you think that is? Like sarcastically, you think I'm going to go eat some vegetables and it's going to get better? Like they're so negative about what we do or what we eat or what we know. It's so frustrating. But anyways, and then Lloyd said, for God's sakes, Jay, just, think about what you're doing. And he says, I'm sorry, I'm so passionate and so upset, but I've lost so many of my friends, and I just am worried you're next because this is not good. Anyways, and he's like, I only want somebody that's going to support what I'm doing. So he kind of pushed Lloyd away, and that's sad because that happened to his friend when he had multiple myeloma. They were like best friends. And if you don't say, oh, the doctor will help you, but we can't do that because we don't believe that. So we just say, are you sure you wouldn't try something else, or don't you want to try something else? But then when they say no, that's what we're going to do. And we just say, okay, we respect that that's your decision. But a lot of them stop talking to you after that because they know you don't believe in what they're doing. And then it causes like a loss of friendship at a time when it's so critical, to be friends and have support and stuff like that. But anyways, this is tough when you have a friend or a family member that makes a decision that you don't agree with. I know some of you have told me stories about your situations like that. So our year has been filled with a lot of that. And yeah, we haven't talked to our friend. He had the surgery and now he's doing chemo and radiation, but not good. So it's, yeah, a lot of, we lost our other friend to throat cancer this year, and that was sad. And now one of our other friends is diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's had like behind the eye brain cancer before. And we lost our friend Wendell, the guy that had the glioblastoma. So I don't know, it's all around. Cancer's in the air, cancer's in the environment. But I read the other day we're being exposed to 250,000 chemicals now. OMG. Jeez, that's all I can say. So detox, detox, detox. So other than that, it's, thank God we're healthy, and we're always on a journey and a search, and it's been a year of learning a lot about our diet. I'm going to do a podcast soon. I know my podcast, I was going to try to do my next time for my blog is next week, Wednesday, and that's Christmas, so I don't know if I'm going to put one up or not. But I would like to, because I love to do my podcast. Even though it's a lot of work, I love to do it. And I really want to do one to talk to you guys more about my journey and what I've learned just about fruit and raw food and a vegan diet versus, let's say, a raw food diet versus cooked food versus so many things like you know how I feel about keto and paleo, so I don't need to go into that, but I'm just talking all the variations of healthy diets. And the bottom line really to me is, we did a very extreme thing, our fruit diet that we did. We were 100% fruit, well, 90, let's say 98. We were 98% fruit, and I felt good on my 98% fruit. My one complaint, because I did mostly juice, I was juicing a lot of oranges, and I juiced grapes and pineapples, but then watermelons, a lot of watermelons. That's like my summer feast, I love it. But the thing when I juice a watermelon, I don't strain out the fiber, but watermelon doesn't have hardly any fiber, so it feels like juice. And then, let's see. But the grape juice, I juiced. I didn't leave the skins in. I juiced them. And the only thing I never felt good with my fruit diet was, as I've told you guys before, I have always a feeling of a big ball in my stomach up here. And I don't know, I've had it since a kid. I don't know if it's something that happened when I took a lot of aspirin for my headaches. But whenever I drink liquid, that's difficult. But I kept thinking that the liquid would be better because it would work faster, it would be more detox, more. But that's not always a good thing. And as you guys know, because I tell you guys this, and this is how I treat my clients. One thing I've learned over the years that I never did before, I used to work a lot on detox myself and for clients. But what I learned is people's kidneys are so shutting down, and people's bowels are totally toxic, and people's livers are so not working. And then when you go to detox them, they don't do well. And so although I've worked many, many, many years on detox, this has been a learning process, and I'm not a person, I definitely feel like an expert, but that doesn't mean I know it all. So one thing that I've really learned is how powerful homeopathy is in helping detox, and how much you can help the liver and all the organs. And this is a form of homeopathy that's called drainage therapy, and I've been interested in this since I started homeopathy, but there's very little information about it. And now I've really, really been studying it hard the last few years. But I mean, over the last, 7 years, I've been reading and getting my hands on everything. But in the last 3 years, I've been really putting together protocols and doing stuff, and it's been really fabulous and helping people. And I have some good success stories. So what I've learned now is that before you even change a person's diet, you make, like, I would like to just say, make a small change, and then really work on the kidneys, really work on the bowel, really work on the liver, especially the kidneys and the liver, and then the bowel, and then the lungs for sure. But for sure, the kidneys and the liver need help. And so one thing that I've learned is I got to really target those first, because I jumped into the fruit diet and I did mostly juices. Lloyd didn't do as many juices as me. He did more eating the whole fruit. But for me, like when I would go teach golf, I could grab a juice. When I go out, it was just easier for me to have juice. But I realize now that was not a good thing. And most of the people, like even when I was learning from Dr. Morse, they don't say anything about not juicing, and often they recommend juice. And yes, juice is a higher level of detox, but that's not necessarily a good thing, because if you're pushing out something so much and you don't have it all coming out of your kidney. And when I did my juice, when I started my fruit diet, I stopped my coffee enemas, and that's another mistake that I made. So I would like to do a podcast where I talk to you about all the things that I learned, but I'm giving you a little preview here. One thing is that if I would do it over, I wouldn't juice, I'd eat the fruit. And I think that caused me a lot of low blood sugar problems, which I had as a kid and I never had before. After that, again, over the last years, until I started doing a lot of juice, fruit juice, and I don't think that. And when I did my podcast with Dr. Toomey, that was one of the reasons I asked that question to her if she drinks. She was talking about drinking green juices, and I said, do you drink fruit juice? And she said, oh no, that's just too fast, the sugar going into the body to do a fruit juice. And I thought, dang, that's what I've been doing, and no wonder I'm feeling so much low blood sugar. So that was one of the ways I didn't feel good, and all that liquid in my body, I didn't feel good that way. But energy-wise, I felt good. And then when I started eating, I really didn't feel good when I started eating, going from a fruit diet to a raw food diet. Now I've learned, don't let me, you guys. That was like my I'm pretty sure that was my sixth try of trying to be a raw foodist. So if I try again, somebody come over to my house and pick me up and say, no, I do not feel good on that diet. And I can talk to you now in detail, because you guys know everything I tell you is because I try them myself. I don't want to recommend a product I haven't done. I don't want to recommend a diet I haven't done. It's the only way that I learn. That's the way my mind thinks. I'm not a person to follow one guru. I have several homeopathic masters that are all precious, and I learned so much from. And then I learned from another teacher that is world famous, but when I went to implement what I learned from him, it didn't work for me in my practice, so I kind of let all of that go. So I'm a person that wants to learn, and then I try it and do it, and I help others, and I'm doing it, and then if it doesn't work, or I don't like it, or I don't feel good, I don't just say it's good because they say it's good. I'm going to give you my opinion based on my experience, and this is just who I am as a person. So that's why a lot of people like to ask me questions, because they know I research things to death, but I also try everything that I'm telling you. I've learned. I know you might not think I'm sick, but I've only learned what I know now from all the things I had. Oh my God, I got to write an autobiography, I think. When you guys read this, you'll know why I feel like a miracle sitting here. Because first of all, I had a near-death experience. This is a second chance at life, because I was dead for a while. And I appreciate every day, believe me, I wake up every day with gratitude to be here every day. And every day I wake up and I don't have a headache. I also, because I live with a lot of years, and a lot of days in the month for 43 years, I think, 15 days a month average of horrible migraines. So I can really appreciate feeling well. I can tell you that. I've been on the other side. I've experienced a lot of things, and I've come out the other side, and I've tried a lot of forms of the vegan diet. And I can honestly tell you now, as I said in a podcast that I did not too long ago, that I think the one thing in common that we all should do is a vegan diet, some form of a vegan diet. If a raw food diet works for you, great. If a fruitarian diet works for you, fantastic. If a whole food, low fat, zero fat, plant-based diet works for you, great. But I can tell you the benefits and the downfalls of what I think, at least from my experience. And so when I started eating this year, after we did 18 months of fruit, we said, let's bring in some more foods and try to stay raw. Well, that just doesn't work for me ever. And the reason, now I know why, and that's because always a raw food diet is a high-fat diet. And that is not a diet I've ever eaten and don't want to eat, because that's why I'm against the keto diet and the paleo diet. Although it's animals they're doing, the fat is so dangerous. Fat is one of the worst nutrients, really. Fat is a horrible thing. So you don't realize it, and I'm going to do a whole video showing you guys how to read a label, because I learned this a long time ago. And then when I did my plant-based nutrition certification with Dr. Campbell, we had to really learn how to do it, and they're so misleading. So you don't really realize it because you're just doing a little this here and a cracker here and a little sprinkle of olive oil here and a little vegan cheese here. But at the end of the day, the percentage of calories that you're getting from fat are almost equal to what you're doing fruit, and you're doing this much fruit and only this much fat, but the calories in the fat are more. And I just did not feel good. So then it got really hot that early in the year, and I just went back to eating all fruit. But that's not sustainable for me. I can't just eat all fruit for the rest of my life. It's just not going to work. I feel good on it, but I can't do it. It's not just too hard. It just doesn't give me enough. It doesn't leave you satisfying enough to do forever. Now, maybe if you lived in Thailand and by the ocean and you had a whole different lifestyle, but it's not sustainable. But I love fruit. I believe in the power of fruit. The highest detoxification is fruit. And all the things I learned, there were a lot of great things. And I'll always do like what I did before, like days of fruit cleanses and even days of juicing, like vegetable fruit juices as a cleanse. So I just think there's levels of diet always. There's a healing diet, and there's a detox diet, and then there's a kind of healthy maintenance diet. And this is where a lot of people get mixed up, because I don't think you should live on the healing diet your whole life. I think few people do, and few people can, because that's tough. Like John Rose is one of those people. He eats fruit all day and a 6-pound salad at night. I couldn't do it. I couldn't eat that much salad at night. It's like 5 or 6 heads of lettuce, 4 giant romaine heads and a kale, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't eat. I wouldn't even feel good on that. I don't feel good with that much lettuce and kale and all those raw veggies. I don't personally do well with that diet. I don't feel good. And I don't know if it's has something to do. I know the Ayurvedic diet, my teacher in India, Dr. Master, is Ayurvedic, and he has taught us about that, and I learned about it many years ago too, and I've eaten like that before, and I always do pretty good when I eat to my Ayurvedic body type. But I have nothing wrong to do fruit when it's hot. I think there's a time and a place for all of this stuff. So I would like to talk more about that, but these are just some things that I've learned this year, and I wanted to share with you because the new year is coming, and I really want to take the lessons that I've learned from my diet this year into next year. And so far for me, that would be to eat my fruit whole and to eat as much fruit as I want. That's fine. But I am incorporating more soups and warming foods, and just even some whole grains I've put back in my diet, and I'm feeling much better. And the reason that is because I've taken out all the fat. I'm really, right now I'm eating no fat. No, I rarely eat added oils, but there's sometimes you just feel like if you're roasting a potato, for example, it's hard to roast a veggie with no oil. So sometimes I would just rub on like really the littlest bit, but I'm really not. I really want to get to a place where I'm not using any at all, and I'm there right now, and I've been there many times before in the past, and this is when I do my best, is on a very low-fat diet. And if I eat fat, I would like it to be from an avocado or a very tiny amount of cashews that I may be using to put a little sauce over something. But right now I'm not doing even that. So because I just felt like I needed to put a lot of fiber back into my body from all the juice that I drank. I felt like I gave myself almost like a fiber deficiency. And eating even the whole fruit, it's not as much fiber as eating grains and vegetables and starches. So I've put some of those back in my diet, and I'm feeling much better. And we'll see. But yeah, that's been my diet. Before I started my fruit diet, I was a high carb, low to no fat eater. That's what I did. I ate veggies, fruits, lots of veggies, lots of fruits, whole grains, beans, and a few seeds. Like flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds. Those were the seeds for my essential fatty acids. That was my diet. All whole foods as much as possible. And I always felt really good. I had really good bowel movements, healthy intestine, no stomach problems. And I was doing coffee enemas, and I felt great. And then I started my fruit diet, and I stopped my coffee enemas. I did juices, and slowly, I wasn't feeling too good the beginning of this year. So that's when I've been playing around this whole year, trying to discover what's good and what's bad. And as soon as summer and hot weather was over, and I didn't want to eat fruit anymore, then I really had to try some different things. So it's been a year of learning. And what I've learned is the diet that I was eating before, I really felt my best on. And then to use my high fruit diet. In the summer, I wouldn't mind. If I feel like eating all fruit for months, I will. If I feel like eating all fruit for that day, I will. But to say that I have to eat it or will eat it all year, I won't do that, because we did that. And I'll tell you more about why I think it worked or didn't work for you, because I'll give you some very specific examples of some ailments that I had and how they actually got worse. But I'll make that a whole episode by itself. I don't want to do that now. So anyways, you guys, that's it. I just wanted to check in and give you some encouragement to stay on track. I know it's easy to eat way too many sweets. And remember, desserts are filled with fat. That's the problem. More than the sugar, it's really the fat. And all the, if any of you out there are animal or meat eaters or dairy eaters, this is a time where everything's in excess. And really, it's coming to the end of the year. And just like I like to clean out my house and my closet and my fridge and my cupboards and my life and my diet and my colon and my liver, I like to do all this stuff, planning. So I hope you guys can be thinking now. Christmas is next week. And I would love for you to be thinking right now about what you can do to improve. What step are you going to take in 2020? 2020, can you believe that? Hey, it's the year of the eyes, 2020. That's cool, because my story I'm going to tell you is all about eyes. So I'll save that one for the new year, because it'll be 2020. That's cool. All right, you guys, I love you so much, and I miss you, and I really want to hear from you guys. And if you guys have any suggestions about how I can get more people to listen, how I can help more people. Like whatever you know, whatever you have, I want so much to get my work out there into the world. I really feel so passionate about helping people, and I really want to do it, but it's so hard because I'm not good at marketing, and I'm not sure how to do it. And if any of you have any good ideas, I mean, really the biggest thing is if somebody listens to my podcast that loves it, and then they share it on Instagram and they have 100,000 followers, or they put it on Facebook and they have 500,000 followers, or someone calls me up and says, hey, would you be on our podcast, and they have 1 million followers. Sometimes that's all it takes, is a break like that. But I haven't got that, and I'm not giving up, because I do this every day just to help each one of you. And I feel good helping one person, 500 people, 5 million people, 5 billion people. The more the merrier, but that doesn't take away the pleasure that I have to help even one person. So anyways, you guys, I'm just going to say, have a great Christmas week. And I hope that I can get another video or podcast posted, so it'll be up on Christmas Day, so that if you have some free time after Christmas, you'll have a chance to listen to it. I will be thinking about exactly, but now you kind of know what it is I'm going to tell you. All right, I love you. Have a great one. Bye-bye.